Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we are going to do a deep dive into the energetics of 4 planets in Aquarius, making a parade of conjunctions to Pluto in Aquarius at 3 degrees, 18 minutes or so. This is quite a significant energy lineup, and I want to discuss it and offer you some insights to work with because we're going to be feeling this collectively even more. Yes, even more. There will be an amplification of the full spectrum of Plutonic energies. And because these planets are moving across Pluto one after the other, there is essentially a span of time here about January 17th until the end of the month that this intensification is going to be quite real. Now, I'm going to get into the specifics of it for those who like to track exactly when these conjunctions occur, but it's important to note that it's essentially in play for at least 2 weeks. And while each of these planets has already made conjunctions to Pluto before, this is the very first time they're all doing so in a row like this, stirring up more Aquarius energies. So it's going to be important to know the Aquarius energies in your chart. So specifically, you want to look at where you have 0 to about 4 degrees of Aquarius in your chart, because by house placement is where these energies are going to be showing up for you. That's where Pluto is currently residing in your chart. And now here come the 4 personal planets that make something more personal, brings it into your consciousness and your awareness, specifically 4 areas of your energy field. Mercury, your mind; Venus, your heart; Mars, your body; the sun, your consciousness. If we're just going for very simple terms and understandings, it's working with 4 layers of your energy. You could also connect it to your chakra systems, Mercury being the mind and the third eye, Venus being the heart space, Mars being connected to the root chakra. Venus could also be connected to the sacral chakra, the place of your creative expression. And then the sun is connected to your solar plexus. So trust whatever aligns for you, but just know that this is going to be some kind of full system upgrade. But first, Pluto shows you what is meant to collapse, deconstruct, and energetically die so that it can be recreated. Aquarius is a very creative energy, and so we're meant to allow things to shatter that have been limiting our forward direction, our next life vision. You might find that you are dismantling life expectations and realizing where perhaps you've outgrown parts of yourself, your path, your energy field, and you could have some big questions that come up with this strong Plutonic influence. And that's because with these Aquarius themes, you might be wondering, what are my gifts and abilities in this new world? What am I here to offer and create? Where is my life going? Where do I feel a resonance and alignment with where I belong? So this could be bringing you into some almost panoramic life view questions that are going to be very powerful here the end of January. Then of course, we've got to bring into the mix that Neptune also re-enters Aries on January 26th, and that's going to bring up more of the questions around who am I becoming in this next phase of my life? Where am I going? What do I want? And perhaps you got some intuitive messages, downloads, and soul whispers that resonate with you back in 2025, because Neptune was in Aries from late March till about late October of last year. So we were in that energy. We were already swimming in it and needing to flow with these new potentials. And so basically I'm looking at the end of January, and new life chapters are right on time. They are meant to spark something in you where you recognize what you're complete with. Perhaps it's a version of self. Perhaps it's an experience that you are moving away from. Maybe there's something in your own consciousness that you feel is beautifully expanding and evolving. And even though you can't quite understand it, it just feels really empowering and personal. These are energies that are meant to bring us into new creative gifts, new soul intelligence, new reminders of why we're here on this planet. And so as each of these personal planets makes a conjunction to Pluto, I feel there's going to be some very deep activations. Now in Pluto, that can be rage, anger, rebellion. That can be a desire to tear apart anything and everything that no longer feels in alignment with your life and your frequency. You could have some very extreme understandings of what is over for you. And it could almost feel like an overriding passion as well as a divine knowingness. And that can be the Aquarius energy here, where all of a sudden you just know something. You know you're complete with this. You're over. You're done. It's dead to you. You know something is no longer meant to travel forward with you. So I feel that for many people, your divine knowingness is being turned up here to the point that you cannot deny a message. There is something that is going to come through here in late January that you feel and sense, and you cannot deny it for yourself because the frequency is so powerful and so expansive that it is shifting you. It is changing you. And that is how Pluto energy works. This is powerful transformational energies. So not only is this about understanding where these early degrees of Aquarius are in your chart, but it comes down to how you are welcoming and working with your own evolution in this area of your life, because that Aquarius energy, it can be heavily fixated on this is how it was supposed to be. This is what I was creating. This is absolutely what I thought would happen for me. And so Pluto is going to bring up the shadow energies in Aquarian expressions. It's going to bring up what we need to understand in ourselves that is needing to be elevated, because maybe it's a part of your own shadow fears, repressed self that comes through very loudly here in January and is a part of this knowingness that you're now seeing and sensing. So some Aquarian shadow expressions can revolve around being highly fixated on what it has to be, not compromising, not budging or negotiating, almost being an extremist in that fixation. There can be a sense of this is the only way something can happen. So stay aware of that. If you've been highly fixated on only one path or one version, just know that the universe is endlessly creative and endlessly opening up new possibilities and new ways of things coming through. So extremism here, especially mentally, could be a shadow energy. Another shadow expression in Aquarius is alienation, feeling that you are the outcast, that you don't belong, you don't know where to go, you're meant to be on the fringes of society and to stay there. Well, we're moving through a powerful age of Aquarius energy cycle. As the age of Aquarius slowly comes in year after year, there's going to be reminders that everyone beautifully contributes to the mosaic of humanity, and that we are each being gifted with ways of understanding what that can look like now, and how to not stay on the sidelines if that's not what you want. And so it's looking at any self-imposed alienation. It could also be an invitation to reaffirm that, of course, you belong, of course, you're needed here. And that might be part of what these Pluto conjunctions bring up. Aquarius can also have a shadow expression of emotionally bypassing things, of not going into the feelings or even that softer human experience. It can be so rigid in the mental and intellectual strengths that it avoids any emotional needs or validations that are appropriate. So look at any emotional bypassing that might come up here, because that could be showing you where there is some discomfort, as well as maybe what has been rejected from the heart space. Another shadow expression is any dogmatic intellectualism, where there is a very narrow lens of logic and intellectual understanding. Part of the gifts of Aquarius is that we're able to work with all the various energies that compose us. We're able to see ourselves as being more holistic and gifted with many abilities. But sometimes that Aquarius energy can be too comfortable in the mind and again be highly dogmatic in one's perceptions. So these are important things to be aware of, because the conjunction to Pluto is going to stir up the underbelly and shadow energies of Aquarius energies and can certainly trigger fears. Now, I feel that some of these fears can come in from other lifetimes, timelines, and dimensions, especially because Aquarius is very much an otherworldly, off-planet influence. And so you could have some fears stirring up within you that don't even belong in your present reality. And that is, of course, a very personal thing, so trust it if it resonates for you. But just know that the Aquarius energy breaks through barriers, including time, space, and linear barriers. And so you could have some things coming up that actually you're realizing now is the time to evolve this, to face this, to not let this fear stop me from the future I really dream of and what I really want for my life next. So this is a time period when you could be moving through some deeper core soul fears. And it might be easy actually to see it from a wider perspective of understanding that also allows you to work through it and work with it. So each planet making a conjunction to Pluto can bring up those extreme fears and some intense emotions, but each planet is also going to move on. And the higher intention of working with Pluto is to allow yourself to move into a new point of empowerment, to understand what you're here to learn and evolve for your best and highest good. And Pluto can be a beautiful catalyst for that. So let's get into some dates here of when these energetics are going to be unfolding. So first up, Venus enters Aquarius January 17th and then has a conjunction to Pluto January 19th. That's the same day that the Sun enters Aquarius. And then the Sun is going to be conjunct Pluto January 23rd. Mercury moves faster than the Sun. So Mercury goes into Aquarius January 20th and is conjunct Pluto January 22nd. Then Mars enters Aquarius January 23rd and is conjunct Pluto January 27th. So the conjunctions occur on January 19th, January 22nd, January 23rd, January 27th. I will put the dates in the description box of the podcast so that you can check them out as well. But you can see that essentially this is going to be ongoing intensity with Pluto, with Aquarius themes, bringing us into higher awareness of what we're here to upgrade and where we are ready to break old paradigms, break the pattern, break the habit. What are you feeling and sensing is not meant to travel with you anymore. And again, this can be coming through your claircognizance, your clairvoyance, your clairsentience, your clairaudience. This isn't something even that you have to fully understand. Aquarius moves with an electrical frequency. It is lightning fast. And this is where you could just feel and sense an answer, an understanding, a solution. It just comes through. And this is going to be heightened throughout the end of January. So the more we can welcome these understandings, the better. And I was just getting a visual before I started the podcast of a beautiful crystalline light stream coming in and basically flowing over all 7 chakras in our energy system. Although those of you who are familiar with human design, you know that we have been elevating to the 9 energy centers. And so we have access to even more energy than ever before as we move into this new era. But I'm seeing this as a flowing light stream of crystalline energies, very shimmery, clear, luminescence, very alive. And it is that Aquarius water bearer consciousness pouring into us from the divine, giving us the understandings of what we're ready to change and elevate in our lives now. And this flow of crystalline light is very loving, supportive, brilliant, intelligent, and creative. And I feel that it's also bringing us a way of seeing new solutions much faster. So we're not going to get lost in the abyss of the mind, if you will. Rather, you could just sense this is the thing to do. This is the way to go. This is what I need to say. This is what I need to create. I'm feeling like this is an incoming divine energy stream of consciousness that is available to us during this period of time in late January, gifting you with new brilliance around breakthroughs. But with Pluto, you've also got to be brutally honest with yourself around what is over now, what you're not going back to because you can't. And that's part of what is going to come up over these weeks is that there's going to be parts of our lives that we can't go back to. And this is going to be strongly reflected in the world. There's going to be parts of society, parts of cultural experiences, parts of our collective experiences that are deeply and permanently changing here as we embody more of these new earth values and the higher frequencies that are streaming onto the planet. So there's going to be some big world developments here. And they can be tumultuous and devastating. I mean, I just got to call it as it is with Pluto. Pluto changes things through disruption and outages, through more things collapsing and not working. This is going to be a pivotal time for all Aquarian ruled systems. This includes air travel, airports, airlines, as well as transportation systems, subways, trains, highways, freeways, interstates. Aquarius rules all the systems that connect us, that move us around and get us from place A to place B to place K. So these are going to be some systems just to have a heads up on that might be drastically affected by these Plutonic influences, especially because the personal planets relate to our personal energies and what we move through on a daily basis. So I would say these energies are heightened when Mercury and Mars are conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. These energies also relate directly to all forms of technology, innovations, electrical systems, the collective grid, computers, cloud storage, social media, internet, websites, the background systems that support all of the ways we do things online. For example, Amazon Web Services being a big one, Cloudflare, another big one. Both of those systems, of course, had outages last year. This relates to communications, your phone, your apps, what you download, what you look at, how fast it uploads, anything that has to go to a satellite, any kind of Bluetooth connections. Then, of course, we look at all the energy that's being used to run and power AI. And I know there have been the predictions about the 3 days of darkness and the grid going down and more of those extremes of energy systems not working. I would say, if anything, we would have some kind of event like that related to something with an AI data center, simply because of all the energy they are requiring and pulling on, and how that can affect not only local environments and cities in the region, but of course the more expansive reach that some of these data centers have across the states, across countries. So basically, this could be a time period where, yes, there are drastic outages that affect millions of people with these planets making these conjunctions to Pluto. So what you want to do is have your analog backup plans. You want to have your paperwork printed. You want to have access to important information or details that isn't relying upon the internet working. This is where you have your backup documents. You're prepared for anything you might need in case you can't access, for example, your insurance documents online or other important documents, details, and honestly, things we just take for granted, right? We just go to a computer, go to our phone, let me get that, let me look it up. Well, this would be a time period to have some things in hand and tangible so that you're not reliant upon these bigger systems. And of course, I share this from a place of preparation and responsibility, not for fear, but just to be aware that the astrology gives us a heads up, and these energies are going to continue, and they're actually going to happen even faster once Uranus re-enters Gemini in late April. So we'll get to that part of it later, but essentially this is a good time to simply be prepared for anything going down. That includes having cash on hand. If the credit card systems don't work, if you can't use your Apple Pay or your debit card, you can't tap your phone on something, do you have cash available? Extra food on hand, extra water, all those basics are also important all the time. But I just think about the transactions we do on a daily basis that we take for granted. If you go into the store and their systems are down and you don't have cash, well, then you can't buy anything, perhaps. So I know these are extreme situations, but I do feel it's important to just have this in your awareness and just to give yourself peace of mind by being prepared. Now, on the other side of a Pluto conjunction, there is a frequency shift that is felt. There has been a change in consciousness and in awareness, and this is where you could start to feel and embody a new level of empowerment around where you're going next, what you want in your life, and perhaps just a new connection to your own gifts and abilities. So the purpose of the Pluto conjunctions is to help your own evolution as you break through blockages, fears, and old paradigms that are ultimately limiting you, whether that is conscious or not. We can evolve any of our rigid expectations of self, of gifts, of others. We can evolve beyond what we thought was possible in this lifetime. Keep in mind, everyone's going to be feeling and sensing these energies, and it might be something you can identify more easily in the collective, with a coworker, with a family member, with a roommate. You know, there could be a lot more rage, a lot more easily triggered issues and topics. And I know we've got plenty of that right now, but what we're meant to do is move it forward and allow it to support us in seeing things in a new way, in going higher, which is one of the beautiful intentions of Aquarius energies. So in Pluto, first we go deeper into the darkness, into that shadow energy. And then when we process that and work through it, we're able to have that rocket launch off into new perspectives, knowingness, and understanding. We could have some brand new downloads around how we are building more enlightened communities, how we are dissolving those older patriarchal models, how we're moving into a new era of scientific advancement, and we are becoming more intelligent and knowledgeable along the way. And that's what's guiding us into these new solutions, into these new models or potentials for society. So yes, big changes here, high level changes, absolutely. But this is a time when you're going to feel it more personally and perhaps have a new passion arise, a new passion that comes forward that Pluto is revealing to you around what you want to contribute, what you want to offer, how you want to participate, what you want to create. So this could be a period of time when you welcome in some powerful personal messages. You really feel that you are integrating something at a deep core level of your being, and perhaps it's also going to give you new life and a new sense of hope for what you want now and in the future. And that is what ultimately can come about from Pluto, but it does require, of course, that ability to face something in yourself that you are completing, destroying, and intentionally breaking down so that this new consciousness that's pouring in can also elevate you. I will be discussing this on the Wednesday weekly shows as well, but I hope this gives you a good overview of the energy signature here. It is intense. It doesn't get any more intense than the personal planets conjunct Pluto. So have ways to take care of yourself, to honor what you need and how you need to move the energy responsibly. And also see yourself, if this resonates, as a beautiful vessel of divine consciousness who is integrating these higher levels of wisdom into the physical realm. And let's be real, that's not easy, especially when there's already so many big developments and uncertainties happening. But the chaos leads to new creations, and that's what we're moving through. And I feel that that's where we're also going to have some beautiful payoffs and manifestations as well. So again, you want to locate where you have 0 to about 4 degrees of Aquarius in your chart. Pluto is only at 3 degrees of Aquarius, but I'm adding that extra degree simply because the intensity will persist. And actually, if you wanted to look further down the path, Pluto is going to get to 5 degrees, 30 minutes of Aquarius this year. Pluto is direct until May 6th. Where the station retrograde occurs. So every year Pluto enters into new degree territory. And so maybe that's a good heads up if you have anything in these early degrees of Aquarius in your chart or early degrees of the fixed signs. The fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, or even early degrees of the air signs being Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. For the air signs, you're going to have beautiful supportive developments here. These are life-changing transformations that are going to lead you forward with your ideas, thoughts, expressions, communications, relationships. Those of you who have the early degrees of air signs are going to be beautifully supported as Pluto transforms something that you're now more empowered to share, discuss, teach, and learn. So that can be a great thing to be aware of. And actually, that reminds me that a while ago, it was November 2024, I did a podcast episode for you discussing how Pluto and Aquarius would work with planets in Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Aquarius. That was a whole separate episode. It aired on November 18th, 2024. I will put a link to that episode in the description box if you want to listen to that and understand more about how Pluto is interacting with planets in those signs. So as always, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here on today's show. I'll be back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for a new episode, and wishing you an empowered journey through this Aquarius season. And I'll be back soon to discuss more of the mythology and spiritual understanding of Aquarius season. I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Take good care.